One of the things I most admired about the story of Adele H. is that while we feel sympathy for her, the lover, the lieutenant, is never ridiculous, never a monster.
Never, no.
I think it's a very important part of your films, that feeling of justice and fair play. Everyone has a good reason, but no character is superior to any other, morally anyway.
On ne doit pas privilégier une personne par rapport à une autre, enfin moralement en tout cas.
Je crois que ça vient très loin, je crois que ça vient de ma jeunesse.
That comes from very far back, I think. It comes from my youth. I grew up in Paris during the German occupation, and within my family I had an uncle who was in the resistance and was sent to Germany. But there was also my father, who did nothing, who was one of those Frenchmen whom you see in The Sorrow and the Pity, who simply waited the war out. There really was no collaborator, but we went to school and we were forced to admire Marshal Pétain's photo, which was always there. We had to write him 4 times a year, for his birthday, for Christmas, for the New Year, for Victory Day, that is, the World War I victory. We had to spend our time writing Marshal Pétain, all we school children during the war. So finally I was morally very unsure. I wondered. There was my uncle in Germany, but then we had to write Marshal Pétain, and then my father was not doing anything for France.
So you were very young when you understood that it isn't all black and white.
Yes, I think so.
And that there is a wide gray area where you can't make easy decisions.
Yes, I think that's just it.
You told me earlier, you seem to be saying there's one more film to be added to the Douanel series.
Yes, I'll make one last Douanel film. It may be called The Last Douanel in English, I don't know.
It will be the last?
Yes, all the more that...
He's going to die?
No, he won't die, but I will use scenes from earlier films. I'm lucky I can do that. I will show the physical transformation of the characters. You'll see Jean-Pierre Léaud at different times in his life. We'll use pieces of the 400 blows, of Stolen Kisses, and the same for the women who were his partners, like Claude Jade, who was his wife in Stolen Kisses, well, anyway, in Bed and Board, and Marie-France, Bizier, etc.
Here in America, many people think of you as the most important director now working, and as one of the world's great directors. What is your position in France? What do the critics say there?
En France, quelle est votre position, votre situation? Les critiques, qu'est-ce qu'ils en pensent?
Well, it depends. Generally, films are scrutinized more severely than here, but sometimes, a few years later, the film's reputation is good. There are really 2 moments. What the critics say when the film comes out, and what they think of it a few years later. Sometimes I think they're unfair. Everyone feels that way when they read something unpleasant in the papers. But, in fact, I think that the second evaluation, the later evaluation, is more correct and puts things in their proper place. And then sometimes I'm angry with the critics when a film is released because I worked so hard that I can't see the defects of a thing, but 3 years later I can see them very clearly.
So you sometimes agree with adverse critics?
Belatedly.
Belatedly.
I now say they were right to criticize The Bride Wore Black, for instance. It's a film I don't really like, though I made it. Or sometimes I half like a film, but with the passage of time anyway, you mustn't pay too much attention. You pay a lot of attention at the beginning because it's the beginning, but then you come to look at the totality. I know now that the totality of the films I make is like a wall. It's an image I have created. It is a wall. Each film is a stone in the wall. So even if one stone isn't as good, it really doesn't matter because it's the totality that counts. It's the wall, and I have to finish the wall.
C'est le mur, voilà, et je dois finir le mur.